Anita Mehra's life looked perfect to anyone who saw her from the outside. She lived in a spacious suburban home in New Jersey, her husband Rajiv worked in tech and seemed successful, and they appeared to have the kind of marriage people envied. Friends admired her for balancing a demanding career and a polished family life, and neighbors often complimented her warm smile and graceful presence. But behind closed doors, the story was very different. Anita began noticing small, unusual changes in Rajiv's behavior. He started staying late at work more often than necessary, claiming deadlines and overtime. He would get defensive over questions that used to seem trivial. Sometimes his phone would buzz late at night, and he would quickly hide it when she glanced over. The once affectionate and attentive husband had grown distant, and the warmth in their home seemed to fade little by little. Anita did not panic, but the unease inside her grew every day. She had always been careful, observant, and intelligent, so she decided to document everything she noticed. She kept a secret journal, noting dates, times, and details of his actions. Each entry added to a growing picture of something she feared but didn't want to admit. Despite the anxiety gnawing at her, she maintained her composure, pretending to be the supportive wife everyone thought she was. It was exhausting, wearing the mask of normalcy while a storm brewed just beneath the surface. The more Anita observed, the more patterns emerged. Rajiv's phone never left his side, he avoided certain conversations, and he began mentioning coworkers more than he used to. Even subtle changes, like the way he laughed at his phone when he thought she wasn't looking or how he suddenly cared about his appearance more than usual, all contributed to a growing suspicion. Anita's mind worked quickly, connecting dots that he probably thought were invisible. She realized she could no longer ignore the possibility that Rajiv was hiding something far more serious than just stress from work. Despite the creeping dread, Anita didn't react impulsively. She understood that confronting Rajiv without proof could backfire, so she waited and watched, sharpening her awareness. Each small clue added to a sense of urgency. She could feel the clock ticking, like a countdown to a revelation that would change everything. By the 7th day of carefully observing him, her instincts screamed that something undeniable would soon come to light. Anita knew that within the week, her life could either spiral into heartbreak or she could take control of the situation entirely. By now, the tension in her home was palpable. Rajiv went about his routine, unaware that his carefully hidden actions were being meticulously recorded and studied. Anita felt a mix of fear, anger, and determination coursing through her. She understood that what she would do next could reshape their entire world, but she didn't rush. In those 7 days, she transformed from a worried wife into a calculating strategist, patiently preparing for a moment that would mark the beginning of a plan unlike anything Rajiv could imagine. The seemingly perfect life of Anita Mehra was about to take a turn no one would see coming. The 7th day arrived, and Anita's growing suspicions finally became undeniable. Rajiv had made a single careless mistake that exposed the truth she had been silently fearing. While he thought she was asleep, she found his phone unlocked on the kitchen counter. Screenshots, messages, and photos, proof of a secret affair with a young coworker, filled the screen. The evidence hit her like a physical blow, but instead of panicking or confronting him immediately, Anita felt a cold clarity settle over her. She understood that reacting in the heat of the moment would only give him the upper hand. What she wanted was not just confrontation, she wanted justice, humiliation, and payback, calculated to perfection. Anita spent the night planning in silence. She studied Rajiv's routines, his habits, and the details of the affair. She learned when he usually left for work, which evenings he preferred going out, and the ways he communicated with his secret partner. Every small detail became a piece of the puzzle she was determined to solve. The thought of revenge was no longer a passing fantasy, it became a strategy, built carefully, like a house of cards that could collapse spectacularly on him at just the right moment. She took precautions to ensure nothing could be traced back to her. While outwardly maintaining the normalcy of their life, she quietly backed up incriminating messages, stored screenshots in multiple locations, and even created anonymous accounts to subtly leak evidence without drawing attention to herself. Every action was deliberate, aimed at maximizing impact while keeping her identity hidden. Anita became almost invisible in her efficiency, moving through her home like a shadow while Rajiv remained oblivious, continuing his daily life as if nothing had changed. During those next days, Anita's mind never stopped working. She imagined every possible reaction Rajiv might have if he suspected her awareness. She considered what friends, family, and colleagues might do once they learned the truth. Each scenario strengthened her plan, adding layers of precision and psychological pressure. Unlike most, she did not let anger or heartbreak cloud her judgment. Instead, it sharpened her focus. Every smile she offered him, every conversation she had, was carefully measured, a part of the mask that concealed the storm brewing beneath. By the end of the week, Anita had everything in place. Rajiv was still unaware that his carefully guarded secret was no longer hidden. She had prepared not only to expose him but to dismantle the life he thought was secure. The evidence, strategically saved and ready to be revealed, would be undeniable. The control he believed he had over his home and relationships was slipping through his fingers without him noticing. Anita had transformed completely from the anxious, suspicious wife who had begun this journey 7 days ago. She had become methodical, patient, and calculating, a force quietly gathering strength. In those few days, she had proven to herself that knowledge and strategy could be more powerful than confrontation or violence. When the time came to act, it would not be a moment of emotion, but the execution of a plan designed to change everything in Rajiv's life forever. By the time Friday evening arrived, Anita's plan had reached its critical stage. Every detail she had prepared over the past week fell into place seamlessly. Rajiv believed the week had passed without incident, that his secret was still safely hidden, and that life would continue as usual. Anita, however, had transformed her home into a stage for the revelation of his betrayal. She maintained her normal routine, smiling and speaking warmly to him, while secretly positioning the evidence and setting the timing for maximum impact. She knew that patience, not emotion, would make her revenge unforgettable. She invited Rajiv to what he thought was a private celebration, an intimate evening to mark a minor personal achievement he had mentioned at work. He arrived dressed casually, expecting nothing more than a quiet night with his wife. Anita greeted him as usual, with an air of warmth and normalcy that made him think everything was fine. But beneath the surface, she was observing him, noting the subtle signs of confidence and unawareness that made the trap all the more satisfying. Every step he took, every casual gesture, was being recorded, and every movement was playing directly into her hands. Anita had set up hidden cameras in several rooms, places where Rajiv would never think to look. The evidence she had collected, screenshots, text messages, and photographs, was strategically placed in locations where they could be revealed at the perfect moment. She had also prepared subtle digital leaks, ensuring that if he moved in panic, the truth would already begin spreading silently online and among those close to him. Rajiv, completely oblivious, went about the evening with a sense of security, unaware that his carefully hidden life was unraveling. At the right moment, Anita began revealing the evidence, starting with the phone messages she had backed up and printed. Rajiv froze, initially in disbelief, then panic, as the messages confirmed what he had hoped Anita had not discovered. Her calm demeanor contrasted sharply with his rising anxiety, making the impact even stronger. She did not yell, accuse, or plead, she simply let the truth speak for itself. Each piece of evidence was presented methodically, like a puzzle coming together to reveal the full picture of his betrayal. The most terrifying part for Rajiv was that Anita's revenge was not only about exposing him but also about control. She had anticipated every reaction he might have and had contingencies in place for each one. While he scrambled to defend himself, Anita silently triggered the next stage of her plan, subtle digital leaks to friends, colleagues, and family. Within minutes, the walls of his seemingly secure world began to crumble. Every text, every photo, every secret he thought was safe now threatened to destroy his reputation, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. By the end of the evening, Rajiv realized that his life had irrevocably changed. Anita had turned the home he believed was his sanctuary into a battleground, and she had emerged as the quiet, unstoppable force orchestrating his downfall. Her revenge was precise, controlled, and devastating, proving that knowledge, patience, and cunning could be more powerful than anger or violence. Rajiv's world, built on lies and hidden desires, had collapsed in the space of hours, and Anita was the calm, calculating architect of his ruin. Once Rajiv realized the extent of his exposure, panic consumed him. He tried to salvage what remained of his reputation, but Anita had anticipated every move. Her revenge was no longer just about revealing his infidelity, it had evolved into a calculated campaign to dismantle the life he thought was secure. She moved silently, methodically, ensuring that every action he took only deepened his downfall. Every colleague, every friend, every family member he trusted had already received subtle evidence of his betrayal. No one would remain unaware for long. Anita began by leveraging technology to amplify her impact. She changed all shared accounts, updated passwords, and subtly redirected access to their finances, ensuring Rajiv could not make a single move without leaving a trace. At the same time, she sent carefully crafted anonymous messages that hinted at his infidelity. Nothing overtly incriminating linked back to her, but each hint was enough to sow doubt, suspicion, and gossip. People who once admired him now whispered behind his back, questioning his integrity and character. The humiliation was invisible but relentless, spreading quietly like a shadow he could not escape. Beyond the digital manipulation, Anita's most effective tool was psychological. She maintained a calm, composed demeanor, never raising her voice or showing obvious anger. To anyone observing, it appeared as though she had moved on, unbothered, while Rajiv struggled under the weight of his own actions. The contrast was devastating. His anxiety escalated as he realized that every attempt to justify himself only added credibility to the evidence against him. Friends and colleagues started piecing together the truth themselves, guided by the trail Anita had left, and Rajiv had no way.